Welcome to the world of Dreamtime. I am Shana. Following on from the presentation on how to decipher your dreams within a few minutes into a one-liner message, I wanted to explore some of the elements further. Here we're going to expand on driving. Driving represents your movement, direction, and progress along your path or a situation. Like all dream elements, driving acts as a symbol, with many descriptive words and meanings attached to it. Taking this into consideration, my intention with this presentation is to help you see the car, driving, and the road as a symbol. I'll go over various words and meanings to consider. I hope this helps you connect the dots of the elements that appear in your dreams and how every and all details provide more information to the message. In Lak'ech. To start, we'll go through the three key elements. The car. In our waking life, it transports you to where you want to go in life. In your dreams, it can represent your movement, direction, and progress along the path or a situation. It can also symbolize the physical body parts and health. In this presentation, we're just going to go through how it represents your movement and direction along your path or situation. Before we go on to the other two key elements, in regards to dreams where you are having or have or see a car accident, take that dream as it is trying to get your attention about something. Something along your path is not right. When we don't recognize or change what the dream message is alluding to, accidents can play out in our waking life. Okay, moving on to the second key element, which would be driving. Again, this is like the car. It represents your movement, direction, and progress along the path or a situation. You know where you are going or you don't. You know the destination or not. And it also represents how you are going about or along your path. It can also represent the metaphor for the word drive, like what drives you or motivates you. And last is the road. Roads represent your path. This can be a life path or about a current situation, maybe thoughts or feelings, maybe projects or goals, or relationships. There are different types of roads that can play out in the scene of your dream. Maybe you're traveling down a back road. This would allude to information to gain or experience by a less obvious or known path. Maybe it's a longer route, or it's alluding to off the main route. A side street. This can allude to off the main route, maybe you're sidetracked, or it's another way. A roundabout. This alludes to a situation that is going around in circles. For example, maybe you miss the turnoff in your dream and you have to go back around again. This would suggest that you've missed something along your path. Maybe you drove down a cul-de-sac or you're parked down a cul-de-sac. This can allude to turning around or backtracking. It can also allude to a peaceful part of your path, because cul-de-sacs can generally be peaceful, quiet roads, because it's generally where families go or there's not a lot of traffic on them. A one-way road would allude to one-track minded, one-way only, or no other options. An expressway alludes to busy, fast, or a quick way along the path. And a main road. If we think about what main, the word, means, it would allude to essential, fundamental, primary, or common. It could also suggest you are on the correct path or the correct way, or is it warning against the path that is taken by others? Maybe you are driving and you come up to an intersection or a crossroad. These both would allude to there is a decision to be made. So look at the surroundings and see if there are any other elements to understand what and why and how. A T intersection, again alluding to a decision to be made, but there is the option of left or right. So a little bit easier with just the two options. If you go right, you could see that as you've taken the right path, or this is the right path. But also the left can be a suggestion that it isn't wrong. Left can be seen as a diversification or shifting away from rigid perspectives or rigid paths. Did you drive on a off or on ramp? This is a suggestion to either get off or get on. A fork in the road. This alludes to a split scenario or a split decision. A decision is to be made, maybe a new direction or separate directions. And the type of road that you're driving on, if you notice that, for example, it's a dirt road, this would allude to additional obstacle, more energy and care. It can also allude to earth, dirt, your foundations, your ethics. Or was the road a bumpy road or cobblestones, or did it have potholes, saying that there are going to be obstacles or difficulties along your journey. Another thing to look at when you're driving is things like driveways. Driveways can represent approachability. You're approaching something or someone, or were you in your own driveway? So that's a place that you leave and arrive. A curb, maybe you were parked up at a curb or even just standing at a curb. This would suggest it's time to curb something, like a play on words, or is it suggestion for waiting? A parking lot. This suggests or alludes time to gather information or communicate. A parking lot is a place between places. It's a place to rest, pause, stop. Maybe it's alluding to you're not going anywhere, you're idle, or you're waiting. So when you dream of a parking lot, recall what you did during that scene and where you were parked, if it was outside someone's house, a shopping centre, a gas station, etc. And what you did afterwards. Did you go into that place, or did you just know that you were parked at a shopping mall car park? Traffic lights are exactly as they are. Green, go. Orange, slow down, and red, stop. If there was traffic on the roads in the scene, this would allude to your travelling activity. So was it busy? Were you at a standstill or gridlocked? Or was there hardly any vehicles, or were you the only one? And roadworks, or even just cones, orange cones. This would suggest repairs or maintenance is needed along your path or situation that the dream is alluding to. How you drive the car tells a lot in regards to your progression and the movement along your path or situation that the dream is alluding to. So if you think about if you had control or not, this would allude to control or lack of control along that path. It could be about good or bad decision making. Speeding. Are you going too fast? Are you too busy? Is it suggesting to slow down, see your surroundings? Are things out of control? Were you driving downhill? Is it suggesting a worsening condition? Or, because driving downhill means that there's ease, could it be less stressful or a problematic phase? Did you pull over while you were driving? Was that so that you could experience or communicate something or think about something? Did you brake while you were driving? This alludes to coming to a halt, controlling the pace and the position. It's also a suggestion to maybe stop. For example, if the brakes didn't work, maybe something on your path or situation can't be slowed down or stopped, or is not working. Were you driving the car in reverse? This alludes to wrong direction, go back, backward movement, or a setback. Maybe the wheels were spinning and you weren't going anywhere, alluding to not going anywhere, stuck, or you're going over and over in the same place, or going over and over the same thing. And parking, the act of. So you pulled over and you were parking. So we've already discussed this, where it is parking is where you gather information or communicate. You've reached a destination, so the most important thing is to always recall where you were parking and why or what happened during the parking or afterwards. And if you are parked, then remember that is about being idled and waiting, like we said before, or I said before. Okay, let's say the car won't start. This alludes to lacking direction or motivation. Maybe the car is running out of gas. This alludes to running out of energy, maybe advising to rest or recharge or refuel. Maybe the car was broken down. And this alludes to going nowhere, a broken situation. Or maybe you were repairing the car or the car was at the mechanics. Again, this is alluding to something needs to be fixed along your path, and whatever the dream is alluding to can be situational, health, motivation, direction, etc. Or did you have a flat tire? This is alluding to the need to repair or change movement or direction. Tires also need air, so air can allude to your mental thoughts. So is your mental thoughts flat or deflated? And let's say your car was being towed with or without you in it. This would allude to helpless or maybe a need of help, something that's out of your control or something that's been mistaken, unfair, or are you in the wrong place? Your car's being taken, alluding to you are in the wrong place along your path. When the car is driven by you or someone else, this alludes to different things. If it was you, then that would allude to you being in charge of the situational path. If it was driven by someone else, this can allude to that person's characteristics are in charge of this path or situation. So for example, if it was a mother or your mother driving the car and deciphering the dream, you realized it was motherly characteristics. It's the motherly characteristics that you either need to support you during this path or situation, or you are using your motherly aspects. If it was driven by no one, so you were in the car but no one was driving, or you see a car where no one's driving, this would allude to that no one's in charge. There's no one physically influencing the decisions or situation. Or is it alluding to you're on autopilot or cruise control? And sometimes you might be sitting in the back seat. Is this alluding to that you're not making your own decisions? Maybe it's suggesting that you need to be in the back seat, take a back seat, or that you maybe need to take control in this situation or along this journey in your path. If you're in a car and there are a few other people in there, looking at their characteristics or the feeling that you got for them or who they were would then relate to those characteristics are what you need or are what you're playing out along this part of your journey or during the situation, or it could be alluding to the people you're responsible for. And was the car yours, which would allude to current situation, or was it a car that you owned in the past? Then you would connect the dots to see if the time that you own that car is the dream alluding to that specific period. Or was the car a rental? And this alludes to a temporary situation. To recap, driving represents your movement, direction, and progress along your path, or a situation. And like all dream elements, driving in a car along the road acts as a symbol, with many descriptive words and meanings attached to it. That is the end of this presentation. My intention in going through the elements that appear in your dreams is to allow you to see the possibilities and think of what the elements in the dream mean to you, to connect the dots and see how the elements together create a symbol. Enjoy defining, driving within your dreams, and allow all the elements to show you the theme so you know you are deciphering it correctly. In Lak'ech.